Good evening, this is Melody. You're listening to Soft Talk with Ivory, the Creativity Companion, Chapter 5, The Art of Attention. Creativity begins with seeing, really seeing, noticing what most people rush past. The way light bends on a table, the steady tap of rain against glass, the shape of a thought before it becomes a word. The art of attention is the practice of wonder. It's the discipline of slowing down long enough to remember that beauty was never hiding. We were simply moving too fast to meet it. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. In a world built on hurry, stillness feels foreign, and inspiration is more like a deer in the woods. It appears when we are gentle, when we move quietly, when our hearts stop thrashing long enough to listen. God is still speaking in whispers, but the volume of our lives keeps us from hearing Him. Attention is how we turn the noise down. There's something sacred about the way Jesus noticed people. He saw fishermen mending nets, widows offering coins, children playing in the dust. He didn't just glance, he lingered. He looked long enough to love what he saw. That's the invitation of creative attention, to linger with life until love rises. What you see through love becomes what you create through grace. You don't need a perfect environment for this kind of seeing. The art of attention happens in the ordinary. The chipped mug on your counter, the shadow that slides across the floor at dusk, the tired voice of someone you love. The smallness of these things is their holiness. When you notice them, you are practicing gratitude, and gratitude always opens the creative heart. Sometimes we think creativity requires more time, more energy, more brilliance. But often it asks for less noise, less judgment, less distraction. When you practice attention, you make room for God to breathe into you. You begin to see that inspiration isn't something you chase. It's something that finds you when you're paying attention to what's already there. There is a rhythm to awareness. It's the same rhythm the earth keeps. The cycle of light and dark, seed and harvest, inhale and exhale. You can't force awareness, you can only enter it. You do that by slowing your steps, softening your gaze, letting your senses wake up. Attention is not just visual, it's spiritual. You begin to hear the whisper behind the world. Maybe you've forgotten how to see like that. The weight of tasks and expectations can blur vision. You rush from one thing to another, and by nightfall, the day is a blur. But beauty does not stop existing because we fail to notice it. It waits, patient as ever, for the moment we look up again. When you finally pause, it greets you like an old friend. Take a breath and look around. What do you see? What do you hear right now? The hum of a refrigerator, the sound of leaves moving outside, your own pulse steady and sure. These are not small things. They are the evidence that life is happening, sacred, vibrant, immediate. Attention turns these ordinary moments into communion. When you give attention to something, you give it dignity. You tell creation, I see you. And in doing so, you join God in His first creative act. Before He spoke, He looked. Before He named, He noticed. And when He saw that it was good, He said so and expressed His delight. Your noticing is an echo of His delight. Attention also requires honesty. To see truly is to stop editing reality for comfort. It means letting yourself feel the ache, the joy, the tension. It means noticing what is beautiful and what is broken, and allowing God to show you that both can be redeemed. Some of the most powerful art, prayer, and ministry begins with the courage to see what others avoid. There will be days when attention feels impossible. The world will clamor for your focus, pulling you in a dozen directions. You'll feel distracted, dull, disconnected. Those are the days when seeing becomes an act of defiance. You look anyway. You look at the sunset even when your inbox is full. You look at the face of your child or close friend and decide to really listen. You look for traces of grace in the middle of exhaustion. That is sacred work. That is art. Attention doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. You don't need to capture every moment. You just need to inhabit one. Presence makes the smallest scene holy, the kind of holiness that whispers, "I am here, and that is enough." If you ever wonder where to begin again, begin with noticing. Write down one thing that caught your breath today. The color of sky before rain, the sound of laughter in a room, the way peace feels when it finally arrives. These are the raw materials of creation, the brushstrokes of God's daily art lesson. When you pay attention, you begin to see that the world is not ordinary at all. It's alive with divine detail. There's a line in an old hymn that says, "Tune my heart to sing thy grace." That's what the art of attention does. It tunes the heart. It aligns you with heaven's frequency so that even the smallest sound of mercy feels like music. When your heart is tuned, creativity follows naturally. You write, paint, sing, or serve not to prove, but to praise. Maybe that's what Jesus meant when he said, "The pure in heart will see God." Purity isn't about perfection. It's about focus. Seeing through the clutter, the hurry and the noise, until what's left is light. When you learn to see like that, everything becomes a canvas of grace. Today, practice the art of attention. Put the phone down. Step outside. Watch how the wind moves through the branches. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice how even stillness has texture. When you see with intention, you begin to live with reverence. And reverence always leads back to the Creator. Open my eyes that I may see wonderful things in your law. Psalm 119:18. Let that be your prayer tonight, that your eyes would open wider, that your heart would slow down to match the rhythm of God's quiet beauty. Pay attention to your own breath, to the miracle of being here. The world is whispering His name everywhere you look. And when you finally see it, when the light brushes against your soul and gratitude rises, pause there. That's the sacred moment. That's where creation begins again. Soft Talk by Ivory Road. Breathe deep. The light is still becoming.